Okay, so what I've done is I've glued a few of these guys down onto some of the bases, and just to give you a rough idea of obviously what's going to be happening with these guys. So these guys are some of the guys with the long sort of great coats on them. So there's the drummer, standard, and then a couple of the guys dotted around. Now there's going to be at least 8 guys on a base of these, so they're going to be fairly packed in. This one, once again, I've got the commander and another standard, and then again a couple of other guys. There's enough room for another bloke on the end just over here, and then another 3 in the back row. And the reason why I've got 2 standards, and this is all going to be one unit, but the reason why I've got 2 standards is because that way it's going to have regimental banner, and it's going to have the unit banner as well. So it's going to have 2 banners. So, like I say, if you want to do the historical version, you are going to have to get a lot of the command guys for the 2 standards, unless you're able to convert something else up. Very possible, depending on what you're looking for. So it's one of those options. This one here, which I've just dropped, doesn't help. Try again. There we go, take 2. This one here is one of the flank companies. So this is a small base. Yeah, okay. Now I'm basing these on Flames of War bases. This is one of the Flames of War small bases. These are the medium bases. And the reason why these are 4 guys, or going to be 4 guys, are on a small base and these are on medium bases like that is because these are, like I say, the flank companies. Now, the flank companies would have had 2 groups of guys. There was the lights, which for these sorts of guys would have been the ones that would have run forward, skirmished, to try and take out a few of the enemies before they got into sort of like combat and things like that. The other ones were the grenadiers. Now these were the guys whose main job it was to assault a building and go in first. They had the special weapons, and they were normally recruited because they were big, and they were, they had the sort of like the physical strength to kick doors in and things like that. So at the moment I've got one of the flank companies, so the other one is obviously going to go on that side as well, like that. The reason why I'm using these bases is because you can actually put them. This is just a single guy on his own. He's not part of it. He might. Well, no, he's not, because he's not got a great coat, so he's not part of this unit, but just to give you an idea, the base there, and just grab one more medium base. It'll be like that, and then again, this guy isn't part of that unit. But that's basically what this unit is going to be. It's going to be a large unit. It will be a large unit. And rough maths, 8 man per base. And it works out to 6 bases. These 2, obviously, you've got going to have 8 men apiece on, so that's another 8. So that comes to, what, 40... Here's my math, it's terrible. 48... Yes, 48 figures in one unit. So it's going to be a big unit, and the problem is that wouldn't be actually how it fought, because what it would do is it would fight in line. So essentially these companies would go out to the far ends, and it's not all going to fit on the camera because I'm zoomed out, but basically in the game everything would be in one long line. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Napoleonic warfare and tactics and things like that, don't think of this as something like World War II or anything like that. There was no one man runs off and hides behind something and fires or anything like that. The only guys that did that were the skirmishers. If you were unlucky enough to be in one of these large units, you would stand next to two of your friends, you would load your musket and you would fire, and then you would start reloading while the enemy would fire at you, and you would basically just line up against each other until one of you decided you'd had enough and ran away. And that was basically how this warfare fought. That's the simple version. I know people may turn around now and start saying, "Oh, it was more complicated than that." Yes, it was more complicated than that. But for someone who's just coming into the, into the period, something like that, that's basically what you're thinking of. So, yes, I'm using Flames of War bases, but that is why I'm not using bases such as the urban or the rural bases that are already sculpted. Because they didn't fight in that method. Like I say, the only ones who fought like that were the skirmishers. But that's, like I say, these two bases are the ones that I've really started on at the moment, and they're the ones with the great coats with the two standards in them, so I'll just remove those for the time being. These guys are actually the Highlanders, some of the Highlanders. So that's one of the flank companies for the Highlanders. Now, the guy kneeling and the guy who is pointing his rifle forward are actually out of the sample pack. Them two figures don't come with the army pack that I've got, which I'm showing you today. So, if you're wanting more poses, you are going to have to start looking at getting the individual packs as well. The army pack is good for getting a bulk of figures and loads of them and things like that, so just be aware of that, okay? But that's some of the Highlanders. This is another company, like a flank company, and this is for just a regular sort of line infantry battalion. They're not got great coats, and they're not the Highlanders, they're just the regular guys. Once again, the guy kneeling down is from the sample pack, it's not from this. So again, just to make you aware of that. So there's some of the infantry. There's a base of light dragoons. Again, medium base. So, not really much to say. 3 blokes on horses, and that's basically it. Now, with the rules that I'm sort of using or customizing to use and things like that, one of the rules is that each cavalry charge needs to be led by a staff officer. So there's my staff officer. So, easiest way of telling him, he's on his own on a small base. There's the staff officer. He will give you bonuses for morales. If he's killed, then the only way you'll be able to lead a charge is by a general. So he is actually quite an important little figure. Mainly the reason why I've actually done this guy on his own straight away is because, again, this is the British cavalryman that I got in my sample pack. Like I said in the other video, that in the sample pack you get 8 figures. 1 is a horse and 1 is a rider, and these were the 2 that I got in my sample pack. So he has become my staff officer for my light dragoons. I like him, he's pretty cool. And like I said, all of these figures, the most work I've had to do on any of these figures is really just levelling out the bottom of the base. The flash and vents and things like that is really, really little to none. They really are good. Last but not least, just to show you, artillery. A couple of guys with artillery. Well, we haven't got an artillery piece at the moment. These guys do. There's one there. And what I'm going to do the gun will come off. And once again, I will paint everything up, get these based up, painted up and everything like that, and get the gun painted up. But what I'm going to do is the guns are not going to be attached to the bases for the simple fact, again, according to the rules, you can destroy guns without killing the crew if you roll the correct dice roll, really. So with this, it's just going to be a little bit better, play a little bit better if you say, right, that unit, because obviously you're going to have a couple of guns lined up, something like that. You say, right, that gun gets blown up. So you can remove the gun, straight away say that unit has got one gun less. Possibly you can take away the base, however, if you take away the entire base, it reduces the frontage of the actual unit itself. So if you're keeping the bases there and you're taking a gun off, they've still got the same frontage, so you can't use the newly removed space to your advantage. It's just one of those little things. Again, the rules may be open to adapting and things like that, but that's just one of those things I'm working on. So that's just a little sample of how they're getting on. Like I say, what I'm going to do is I am going to keep you guys posted and updated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this video here, and I am going to get another part for my final product review, the second product review for this one. So sorry that this one is in 4 parts. It was just a lot easier to film it in 4 parts rather than trying to cut it all together, because I think the time on YouTube would have been really quite long. So thanks for bearing with us, and like I say, fingers crossed we'll get the next video up nice and quickly. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.